This video is on the aspect of success that focuses on materialism and consumption. When we measure success in basically two ways. One of them is job status. We look at job status, and the higher status you have as a job, the more we look at you as being successful. So if you're a diplomat, a head of a large company, a doctor, a lawyer, a sociologist, we think of you as being successful. The other way we measure success is through the possession of money and all of these things that show you have money. I'm going to call this materialism and consumption. In other words, when a person drives up to your house in a Ferrari, a Lamborghini, a Jaguar, you think, that person must be successful because, wow, look at the car they got. When a person has a huge house, we go, wow, they must be successful. Look at that big house. This is materialism, the possession of items and things. And we measure success to some degree by how much we have. People who have more, who have bigger houses, fancier cars, jewelry, we consider successful. And consumption goes along with it because we buy these objects, but we also consume other things. We consume trips to Disneyland. We can consume trips to Acapulco. We consume ski trips. We go to fancy restaurants. We spend money. So, in other words, we consume. We are a society that is a consumer society. We buy things. And these things can be physical things like cars and houses and TVs, or they can be things like services, like going to Disneyland, taking a ski trip, going to the South Pacific, or going to a fancy restaurant. So in this video, we're going to look at the pluses of materialism and consumption. A major plus of materialism is that these items make our life easier. Air conditioning makes it easier to live in El Paso in the summer. Having a nice car makes it easier to get around. Having this phone allows me to record these videos and you can see my beautiful face, okay? Having a nice TV, a nice stereo. In other words, all of these things make our life easier and more enjoyable. That's the obvious benefit. There are other benefits. One benefit you may not think about is that in order to sell you products, companies have to constantly innovate. They have to improve their product. The company can't sell you the same car they made 10 years ago. Can't sell you the same smartphone we made 10 years ago. You won't buy it. So what we keep doing is the next car is better. It does something the other car didn't do. You know, it has this feature. It might tell you the temperature. It might talk to you. Maybe the next car is going to rub your back and shake your hand. I don't know. Same with phones. Phones keep getting better. The video, like this one's got a pretty good camera. We keep innovating to make the phone better, and we try to sell that phone to you. So this one here I bought because it had a good camera. I was hoping it'd make me look better, but I reckon I got to wait for the next innovation. But innovation occurs because we've got to sell things to you. And in order to sell them to you, we've got to improve it. So that benefit of materialism is good. So not only do we get the nice comforts, but we get things that are constantly upgraded and improved that stimulates the economy, and we get what I call new tech toys. There's another benefit of materialism that may not seem as obvious, but it's like a way of thinking. And let me give you an example of his way of thinking. A number of years ago, I was looking to buy some land up in northern New Mexico. And the guy I was buying it from, we were talking about the Native Americans who lived in the area, and he made a comment that I thought was offensive. And here's what he said. He said that the Native Americans that he was referring to, he said they're dumb or something like that. And I was like offended, and I said to the man, why did you say this? And he said, because they're poor. I said, well, okay. And he said, but they don't have to be poor. They have all this land. They have this beautiful mountain land and forest and lakes. And he said they could develop this land and they could make money. They could lumber the forest. They could allow mining. They could build resorts next to the lake. And they could allow hunting and fishing. He said they have this valuable piece of land and they're not making use out of it. And that's why he made this comment about them. And when you think about his comment for a second, he's thinking like this kind of mentality of materialism. In other words, when he sees a forest, he doesn't see trees, he sees lumber. Here we go. when he sees a beautiful piece of land, he sees an opportunity to develop it, to maybe into some sort of resort. So we have a mentality here that is part of materialism, that we look at the environment around us and we look at ways we can make money off it. We can develop it. We can mine the land. We can build dams. We can cut down the forest, and we can make money, okay? And that is a mentality that in a way ends up producing us more material goods. Now, for your information, I should mention that I found out later on the reason this Native American Pueblo did not develop this land was because they considered the land sacred. They considered it's sort of inappropriate to develop that land, to cut down the trees and develop the resorts and have mining, because the land to them was a sacred piece of land that they felt, as far as I understood, deserved respect. So you see the two differences in mentalities. The Pueblo is looking at the land with, we're going to respect the land, we're going to respect the earth. But a person with the idea of materialism says, look, this is a chance to make money. Why don't you go for it? And that was probably the thinking of that rancher. So now if we summarize it, here's what we get. When we look at the positive side of materialism and consumption, we get all these nice, comfortable things to make our life happier. We get new tech toys because they got to sell you something and they keep innovating. And we get a mentality that says we're going to develop stuff. We're going to develop the land. We're going to develop the earth. We're going to make money and products out of it. Now, in the next video, we're going to look at what I call the dark side of materialism and consumption, because it's not all bright. And some of these things that we just mentioned have a dark side, and we'll talk about that on the next video when we look at the negative aspects of materialism and consumption.